Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever in the world you are, I hope you and your families are well, and thanks for taking time to join us today. Today's the result of a whole lot of hard work from many folks, and I can say on behalf of all of them, we're really excited to be here and present this to you. To start, I wanted to give you a little bit of background about how all this came together and what exactly we hope to accomplish. It started with the AWS Security Forum Slack workspace, which is now named the Cloud Security Forum. Stu Hurst created this in 2018, and I'm not sure how I got invited anymore, but I remember being immediately impressed. A friendly, knowledgeable, helpful group of folks pushing the limits of what we could do with AWS. Many of us met in person for the first time at Reinforce 2019. Spencer Geetson invited us to his happy hour, and that turned into an hours-long exchange of lessons learned, of pain points, of ideas, and we knew this was something we wanted to keep going. But how, right? Like, it's a fair question to ask whether the world needs another security conference. There are lots of them already, many important things to do. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm not sure we need another security conference, but I try and justify it anyway. So we come from a tradition in security of having a lot of these conferences for a reason. And these predecessor conferences, and particularly the B-Sides movement, have been a key part of my professional career. My first security conference was 20 years ago. It was DEF CON 7. It was the Alexis Park in 1999, and I wasn't quite old enough to drink. Through the years, I've drawn a ton of inspiration from the people and communities that spring up around these events. It's not just the beer, it's the spirit of camaraderie that comes from splitting a cab with someone and learning they're working on a similar problem, finding yourself at a table with a professional idol, getting that one key insight that unlocks the next bit of work for you. These are powerful, important experiences to me, and I think it's my obligation to pay it forward and share them with others. So, if we're going to have a conference, what is the unfilled need that makes it valuable, right? Is there a niche within a niche within a niche that we can uniquely target? And I think so. And it comes down to a phrase that we used multiple times in our CFP and landing page. Today is about the independent cloud security practitioner community. Cloud security practitioner community. What do I mean by that? So, most important to focus on is the notion of practitioner. Now, I want to be clear. This doesn't mean you have to be a great software infrastructure engineer. I think you can be a practitioner without crushing Python or Golang, and it's definitely not about your dark green GitHub history. What makes a practitioner is this. First and foremost, we are independent. Well, we all have employers and day jobs. Maybe your employer is one of the big cloud vendors themselves, but we seek out alternative approaches and viewpoints and avoid spin. Second thing that I think makes a practitioner is that we are directly responsible in some way for the security of a cloud service. It's not enough to be an advisor or an observer, but we're someone who cares about the service's success as much as we care about the safety of its users. Practitioners are hands-on when we solve problems. We're experimenting, documenting, testing, building, breaking, assessing, operating, applying practical skills that make the service better. And finally, I think practitioners are realistic, steeped in the trade-offs, and well aware that no system is perfect and never perfectly secure, but that we have to focus on taking incremental steps forward regardless. The second thing I want to focus on is community, which is what I've seen come out of these Slack channels, the hallway-con chats and volunteer teams behind groups like this. What makes a community valuable to its members? Well, often people join to get advice, but Q&A alone doesn't make a community, especially if it's not reciprocated. A step above that is education, and the talks themselves are a form of that. And we're making these open and putting them on YouTube for free because we want to help folks learn and expand. That's important. And it's important to create a resource that doesn't require a travel budget and doesn't require that you personally know someone that you can call as a mentor. But we can go further, and we go further by being collaborative. So you want to hear something cool that I'm particularly proud of? At least 2 of today's talks wouldn't have happened if it weren't for those side conversations. People who would otherwise not have met, except for the Slack, refining ideas, trading insights, and introductions that happened there. And finally, a lot of what makes this a community, as opposed to just a lecture hall or a co-working space, is the snark, the respectful irreverence. It's not about negativity. We're all practitioners here. We've all made our own mistakes. But when done right, the irreverence means we've created a space of psychological safety to process and challenge the frustration and annoyance that we all agree these platforms and projects can create. So, what does it take to build a cloud security practitioner community? Look, all things being equal, I'd rather be doing this in Houston. And I will say, as a New Yorker, my heart goes out to that city and what they're going through right now. Virtual community is possible. It requires a lot of work. As organizers, it's meant unpleasant tasks like filing IRS and company paperwork for a 501c3. It's awkward vendor negotiation, hours upon hours of staring at Google Sheets, and Monday evening Zoom meetings long after we were all tired of Zoom meetings. And we absolutely couldn't have done it alone. So before we go any further, I want to make sure I explicitly thank those who have participated in building this thing. First up, our sponsors. Now, originally, they all were expecting to sponsor an in-person event on the sidelines of Reinforce. And when we went virtual, nearly all of them stuck with us. I don't need to tell you that's a big deal. Their financial support not only helps pay for legal and production expenses, but they've made it possible for us to make the Cloud Security Forum Slack a paid workspace year-round. The whole history of our chats are available for anyone joining. So, an extra special thanks to our platinum sponsors, Delph Risk, a market research and brokerage firm, to Turbot and their cloud governance platform, Flatiron, a healthcare technology and services company, for their support to this community, as well as our gold sponsors, Sunrise Security and BridgeCrew.io, and our silver sponsors, Lacework and DiviCloud. Many of their folks will be on Slack with us throughout the day, and we'll be sharing more information about these companies as we go along. We are extremely thankful for your support. Second, I'd like to thank everyone who submitted a talk. That's about 70 of you from around the world. It's hard to put yourself out there and risk rejection, not to mention to create a tight 20-minute presentation, deal with this unfamiliar AV tech, speak awkwardly into a webcam knowing you'll be on YouTube for posterity. But without our speakers, this would just be another workday, so thank you. And third, I want to thank our review team, who came together from finance, from media, startups, consulting, and even one of those big cloud vendors themselves. Your feedbacks and insights have made for a great lineup today, and we are getting some great feedback already. I'm really excited by it. But most importantly, I want to thank you. That's the 1,500 people on our mailing list, the 2,000 people in the Slack, who knows how many on the streams or watching this on YouTube a month plus from now. We want you to participate today. I mean it. So to start, we've reserved time at the end of every talk for Q&A. As we go through the day, I'll be monitoring the chats, Slack channels, and hashtags for questions to ask the speakers on your behalf. Speak up, ask hard questions, offer counterpoints. That's why we're here. Share your reactions publicly. Start an email conversation or a DM with someone, although I would ask, for goodness sake, please use threads. Some of us have specific roles today, and I'd like to point out those folks to you. If this were live, we'd all be wearing matching logo shirts, but since we're in our homes around the world, please meet the Forward CloudSec volunteer staff, who are my colleagues. Jaron Saji is running production today. He's keeping the stream up and running. Scott Piper is moderating social media. He owns the Forward CloudSec Twitter account. He's our Slack admin. Anna Maccabee has speaker and sponsor operations. She's keeping us on time, solving problems. And Joel Thompson is the point of escalation for code of conduct issues today. Even though this is a virtual conference, the code of conduct on our website is very much still in place. Be kind, welcoming, and excellent to each other, regardless of background, race, gender identity or expression, age or appearance. And if you see someone whose behavior doesn't meet that standard, you can reach out to any of us, but especially Joel Thompson. Here's his email. He'll also be on Slack, cleverly disguised as Joel Thompson. We're here to help you get what you need out of the day. So reach out to any of us. One more thing, and then we'll get to the speakers. We put in the time to bring this event together because we believe this is important. It's easy to make fun of the marketing froth in this industry. Like I'm sure you do, I find the buzzwords incredibly tiresome. But I think they exist for an important reason, and that reason is not to sell things or to bamboozle customers. These awkward buzzwords exist because the concepts behind them are important, and they end up becoming a shorthand for something that not everyone fully understands yet or really knows what to do with, right? The shorthand, the placeholder that we use while we're busy developing the concepts further. And I like to think that in our hearts, when we get past the snark of the buzzwords, even the most cynical practitioner knows this. The future that we live, we who are steeped in cloud life, that future is not yet evenly distributed. I remember an Alex Stamos speech at Black Hat, where he told a reluctant room full of firewall and IDS vendors that rack-mounted pizza boxes were no longer going to be a viable market in the future. Pizza boxes for security. Like, you think that was the distant past? That speech was less than 6 years ago. And those were replaced with on-host agents, what, like 3 years ago? So it may not seem like it to this niche crowd, but it is still early days in what is a generational change in the security industry. And as the people who've been at the forefront of it, our work is what is needed. our shared work to grow the community, to collaborate on research projects and education, to bring in those of other backgrounds who hold other perspectives, to solve cloud security problems specifically, technology problems more generally, and ultimately human problems. Hopefully this day is a start. Hopefully this day is not all we do, though. I've spoken with some of you already who are interested in working specific projects with us in other topic areas. So running a CTF, practicing assessments, running scholarship programs, helping others with career development. Awesome. Sounds great. Let's keep the momentum from today going. Thanks to the support of our sponsors, Forward CloudSec as an organization is, I think, in a good position, both finance and visibility-wise, to help. But it won't happen automatically. Personally, I'm not much for social media or speaking publicly for that matter. Maybe you aren't either. But I do enjoy volunteer groups like this, where I get to work with people that I otherwise wouldn't have met and get to know them personally and professionally. If you do too, say hello. I want to meet you. So, on behalf of the organizing team, our speakers, our sponsors, our volunteers, thank you for participating with us today. We're excited to share this day with you. Let's get to work. So, we'll take 3 minutes to refill our coffee, to checkpoint the stream, and we'll be back at 10:15 Eastern Time with Brandon Sherman of Twilio. What I wish someone told me before going multi-account. I'll see you there.